Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio, of course, is our program that brings you the latest developments in Nigeria's business and economic cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we're going to take a look at a very critical sector of the Nigerian economy that also drives business. We're talking about creating value through indigenous technology. This program is focused on the International Day for Technology in Africa, and the organizers, National Office for Technology Transfer and Promotion, NOTAP, are very vehement in their interest in investing in the development of research and innovation, and of course other sectors that will connect Nigeria's economy into the science and technology field. And so we're going to take a look at how it is that Nigeria can do proper investment in the development of science and technology to build indigenous economy that will help us solve some of the challenges that we will have in Nigeria and other parts of Africa. I am not alone in the studio. I'm here with my regular guest, Haniel Jafaru. Haniel, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure having you.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Now we're talking about creating an economy through indigenous, very viable economy through indigenous technology. Now we cannot run away from the fact that technology has become the mainstream of modern economy, modern development, and everything that has to do with driving business in modern time has to do with technology. So, where are we in the scheme of things, in the technological, if you say, prowess, such that we may have to start impressing the world the way the world has impressed us with so many things that we can see having been done?
Well, where we are, it's a huge question because it's a broad question. The reason why I consider the question to be broad is because there are some parameters that can be used to determine where we are.
Give us some of
you get. Now, the first parameter that you use to determine where you are is your intellectual capacity of those that you consider to be indigenous entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Then another thing you need to look at is the entrepreneurial skill that is available within these persons. Then the third thing you would want to look at is the environmental enablement. You get. So if you want to, then you can now look at government regulations.
Yes.
Now, when you want to bring these four things together, you'll find out that we have some, we are lagging in some, and we are completely away from some others. You get. But notwithstanding, if I'm to start picking them one after the other, looking at the intellectual capacity, I've always been an advocate of localizing, building indigenous technology, and I will advocate that when I know that yes, I have met people that have that intellectual capacity. So Nigerians are not lacking intellect. We're not lacking the brains to bring this most of this technology to fruition. That's not what we're lacking. Again. So we have that. So if I'm to give a score in that, I would know that I would definitely say that we are on the we passed in that aspect. Then looking at entrepreneurial skill. Entrepreneurial skill is also a very strong. It recently became a thing because before now, most persons were not so much interested in startup. Most persons are always focused on getting a white collar job.
Yeah.
After school, let me get something to do. After school, let me get something to do. Okay. So now, people are no longer concerned about the white collar job. In fact, while in school, they're already doing something. You get. So the entrepreneurial skill. In fact, if you want to look at, there was a video that was trending some time ago where an ambassador, was it the French ambassador, was asking the meaning of Jagba. Okay, and the guy there was trying to, he gave the definition to the best of his ability, and he said Jagba is the entrepreneurial skill in man or in a Nigerian that cannot be contained, that want to export the entrepreneurial skill alongside the person. You get, so you find out that truly that in a way gave a sense of definition to truly the concept of this jackpot thing, where Nigerians want to leave the country. It's not that they want to leave the country to go there and depend on the government over there to give them what they want, but they are going there to set up. They are going there to start something. You get. So we're not lacking in the entrepreneurial skill. We have that agility. We have that mindset to always want to be innovative, be creative, to build something new. So it is there. So, but now going to the third one, which is enabling environment. That is sadly the area that we are lagging behind as a country, because there is that enabling environment is not there at all. Yes, NITDA is doing the best it can. NOTAB is doing the best it can. NCC and the like, they are doing the best that they can. SMIDAN, they are all doing the best that they can. But with the rate at which startups are springing forth in other parts of the world, in the US, in Europe, in UK, in Asia, you can't compare it with Nigeria. Nigeria is doing well when we are looking at it from the context of Africa, but we're talking about it on a global scale now. We need to be competitive on a global scale, because there are certain things that makes you very competitive on a global scale. The first thing is, in fact, 3 attributes that makes you very, very valuable in a global scale. The first thing is it 3 or 4? The first thing is that there must be a problem, which is general. There must be a problem. Now, if you want to now solve the problem, as a result of that problem, it now means that there will be a need for a solution. You get? Now, when you create that solution, that's the need for us is the first thing. Then the second thing is the ability for you to create that solution. So we are not lacking behind in that area. Nigerians are intellectuals. We are smart. We are innovators. We are thinkers. We have all these things built inside of us. Okay? So the ability to solve problems are not our concern, because you can see the guys that import all these cars. They bring cars and they change the car, and it looks as if the car was manufactured in Nigeria. It's where you go to Ladipo Market and all that. Go to GSM Village and see what they do with phones. Go to Computer Village in Lagos and see what they do with phones and systems. So it's not as though that we don't have the ability to solve problems. In fact, let's look at even the systems that we use currently. The integrated processor that our system makes use of, it was designed by Philip Emegwali, a Nigerian, that because he left Nigeria because of that lack of enabling environment, and he was able to effectively deploy that solution that the world generally is using now currently, before we now start talking about the quantum computing and all that. So then I mentioned that the first thing is that there must be the need. Then the second thing is there must be the ability to solve it. Then the third thing that makes you very valuable as a country it should not just rely on the ability to solve it, but the difficulty in getting other people that can solve it. So if there are other people that can solve the same problem, it now means that they will not take from your market, and when they take from your market, it drops your economic value. Why people rush to US is because there are specific things that you can't get elsewhere but US. Why people rush to China is because there are specific things that you can't get elsewhere but China. So if we're able to derive some of these very specific things that is limited in broadness as it has to do with the ability, the difficulty in getting other people that can solve the same problem, it now invariably means that we will be more valuable. Now, oil is considered to be a very valuable commodity, and the reason is because there are limited countries that produce oil. Gold is considered to be of high value because there are limited places. The gold is scarce. Scarcity is one thing that drives demand and supply. So generally, the enabling environment is not there for us as a country, and it's going to be difficult for us to be able to make effective economic value of anything we are producing if the enabling environment is not there.
Okay, now this is a very critical issue. And we as Nigerians and Africans, there has been this efforts being made. Sometimes you see there's a collaboration. You see here a collaboration with some countries, collaboration with China, collaboration with the US, with the other developed countries of the world, who have in fact distinguished themselves in the field of science and technology, and of course the ICT sector. About the product that we have, how do we begin to think independent so that we can have that indigenous touch to the drive for science and technology? Now, why I'm asking this question is that if you look at the African involvement in the productive sector, in technology, speaking about technology now, you see that, just like you said, we're so far behind, and even the investment needed to drive that technology down and make it indigenous is also not being passionately driven by maybe leadership policies and programs that can put them in the right perspective. That is the environment you're talking about. I'll give you an example. Now, there's this sort of agreement that African countries had that they should at least devote 1% of their GDP to to research and development. Right now, I don't think any African country, I might be wrong, but I don't think any African country has devoted 1% of its GDP to research and development. Nigeria only recently announced about 0.5% GDP to use of GDP for research and innovation, which is really very, very far cry from the required the standard they set them for themselves. So, with this situation, how do they really come up with any major initiative?
They can't be. The truth of the matter is that they can't be independent because of this situation. They depend largely on their funds from research funds.
Yes.
Nigeria as a country, most of our research funds comes from. They are more of external research, external funds. They are not internal. They are not government issued funds. They are not government grants. And the reason is why you find out that there is this laxity from the angle of the government, because the first thing is the government and power. Do they understand the extent at which research can help the country? Because most governments usually they are more concerned, especially leaders of certain countries. They are usually more concerned about the next election.
Yeah.
But a true leader is supposed to be concerned about the next generation.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we have leaders that are more concerned about the next election, they would never ever put money in research, because research is not about the next election.
Yes.
Research is about the next generation.
Yeah.
So it's that's just the truth of the matter. So not until we begin to have leaders that are concerned about the next generation, we truly would not go far in the area of research, and we just want to align. Let it not be as if we are not doing something. That's why it is 0.5% left for leaders that are concerned about the next election. That money is a waste.
Now, it is actually really helpful to Africans, especially Nigerians, because we are the leading country in Africa in terms of the population size. And so we are supposed to also lead Africa in the quest for technological advancement. Just like if you say, okay, if you have to put it in regional perspective now, you say in Asia, you've got the giant of Asia, which is China, leading in science, technology, and innovation. Of course, you have Japan and other Asian countries, know that, in that league. Now, when you go to North America, you see the giant USA, of course. When you go to South America, you see Brazil also doing great in the issue of science, technology, and innovation. But then when you come to Africa, the giant of Africa, here we are. So the thing is, if, just like you said, the leaders don't pay attention to issues like this because they think more about the next election instead of the next generation. Now we are entering into an election year, which is just around the corner. Is it not become incumbent on all of us, especially people like you who can drive opinions around issues of development, to begin to, instill that mindset on Nigerian people that, look, before you actually cast your vote in an election, we're not talking politics here, but we're only talking about how you use policies of government to drive development, to build indigenous technology that can add value to the economy. So you can see they're interconnected.
True.
Therefore, we need to tell the people who are out there that when you want to cast your vote, for instance, you should actually interrogate those perspectives. How do you put this thing into place to ensure that the person you give this vote must represent the transformative and not transactional leadership now, transformative leadership that can focus on the issues like science, technology, and innovation that is premised on research and development. So we need to ask more questions about how much are we committed to the issue of research and development and innovation.
Sadly, that question would not come up till after the election. Yeah, and the reason it's simple because most, as it stands now, everybody is concerned about how we're going to come out of the situation the country has found itself, the level of indebtedness, the level of the lack of funds and all that. So that's where everybody's attention is geared towards, even during the campaign. Don't be surprised that throughout the campaign, nobody would mention anything about research and research funds or how to generate research or whatsoever thing they want to do as regards research. But as a country, for it to go forward, you need research.
Yes.
And you can't run away from it. If you want to be dominant in certain industries, there are different industries that are extensively neutral, that people have not established their dominance in those industries. And Nigerians is so fertile that we can establish our dominance in those industries that will make the world to come look for us. There are many of them. We know that when we're talking about medicine, you run to India. Yes. When you're talking about technology, you run to US. When you're talking about industries, you go to China. What is Nigeria known for? There are many other aspects Nigeria can be known for. No, we will just have general. There will just be a piece of persons that countries that does agriculture and all that. But no country with the numbers of landmass we have, with the numbers of what's it called?
Youth population.
The youth population, the energy is there, the intellect is there. We can dominate agricultural sector in the world that everybody runs to Africa for agricultural products.
Okay, and when I was speaking to some experts in the field, one of them actually reminded us about Nigeria had a lot of export made a lot of scientific export during the Nigerian Civil War. It was an unfortunate situation, but then it presented an opportunity for technological for the country. And whatever happened, because I understand that, yes, after that experience, there was a passionate move to drive technology through the experience we have had. And the individuals who were there then, who were the arrowheads of that move, could easily have been, brought together and then given the funding, the enablement, and the environment, of course, that will enable them to pick up. And I understand that some federal government agencies like what's this one in Enugu again? I'm trying to remember the name of this. There's this federal government agency in Enugu that deals with the issue of engineering and putting it together. PRODA. Yes. Okay, I'm talking about PRODA now. So there are agencies of government. You have PRODA, for instance. You also have NOTA. You have National Science Biotechnology Development Agency, and about 17 agencies under the Ministry of Science and Technology alone. And these agencies are actually peopled by the intellectuals you're talking about, by the let's say the passionate people you're talking about. Now, what is this enabling environment that is always very absent in the way we do things here? Is what the average Nigerian will want to ask all the time. How come you don't have that enabling environment? Is it in terms of the needed investment, or
have you gone to Nesra?
Yes.
Have you taken a walk to Nesra? Do you see the way they work in Nesra?
Yes.
Do you see the way they work in Nicomsat? Nicomsat is a limited liability company.
Yes.
Now, they power themselves usually, especially in Nicomsat. They generate money from funds, and they generate funds from sets of image, they generate funds from satellite licenses and all those other, and that gives them largely the environment to do what they want to do. Now, most agencies that depend on government for funding don't get their funding early. You don't encourage researchers. Enabling environment also cuts across you having a world recognized standard as it regards patenting.
You're talking about intellectual property.
Yes, now, if I undergo a research, or if I carry out a research and that research is published, and I patent that research in Nigeria, can any other person do that same research outside the world and still be recognized? What is our copyright and patenting organization? What it is relevant and its value in looking at it from the going outside the confines of Nigeria? That's another thing you need to look at. We're talking about funding. We're talking about intellectual property. Then the third thing that we need to take note of is that the time that we had this challenge of this exploit in technological advancement and growth, our educational system was top-notch. Most of the breakthrough we had at that time, they were as a result of a well-organized education system. Most educational systems are the ones driving research in other parts of the world. Other parts of the world, the internet that we use today came as a result of research from an institution in the US. Most of this advanced research, they came from what? From educational system. How many research institutes do we have as an educational system? There's what's called master's degree taught. A concept of master's degree that you're being taught. There's now a concept of master's degree that's based on research. So, do we have that in this country? All our master's degree are based on knowledge, theories, you're taught. You go to class, you're taught. There is nothing that advances research masters. Postgraduate, most of the thesis and projects that our bachelor's degree student, that was part of the requirement to any bachelor's degree, what happened to the projects? Some have been warehoused, some have been burned. It was just a requirement to get a certificate. It's not as though that the government wanted to use it to do something else, or the institute, or even if the institute wants to use it, do they have the required fund to push that research? So when we're talking about enabling environment, is broad and is way beyond just the funding. Is way beyond the intellectual property, the security of intellectual property. Is way beyond the kind of persons or the kind of mindset we're producing from our education system now. So it cuts across all aspects of it. So we don't run away from the fact that, and also in the area of regulation, there is also a huge thing that needs to be done in that aspect.
All right. If you are just joining us, we've been talking about how to create economic value through indigenous technology. And I've been in the studio with Haniel Jafaru, with whom I've done justice to this very important topic. This is where we'll call it a day on today's edition of Money Radio. We promise to bring you a bumper edition when next we come. Stay blessed and goodbye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.